Hi everyone, it's Vicky here and it's time for another art journal layout. This is tissue paper by Tim Holtz and I'm using my gel medium. I'm applying a thin layer on top of my pages and then I'll just go ahead and stick it down. As always, I'm working on a Moleskine sketchbook. It has nice thick pages, but I always glue two of them together and that's how I prevent the curving of the pages. Before I start an art journal, I'll always have a rough idea of what I'm going to do. However, this might change dramatically as I'm working on it, since I might not like something or I might think of something at that point. And I'm going to use my heat gun. That's a craft tool, it's not a hair dryer, and I'm going to dry the pages. And once everything is dry, it's time to start painting. This is Classic Teal by Claudine Hellmuth. And a little goes a long way, so I'm using a brush here to apply the color. I also dip the brush on water and then I'll go ahead and use a wet baby wipe to apply the color all around. What I like about this paint is that it's semi-transparent, so you can see the text on the background. This will dry permanent and all I'm doing now is just paying attention on applying just a thin layer of the paint. Now that I covered all the pages, I'm going to use my heat gun and dry everything out, and then I'm going to use my distress paint, that's Vintage Photo, and I'll just apply Vintage Photo on all around the edges. I'm using my finger and the wet baby wipe to apply the paint and I'll go ahead and work it around until I'm happy with it. I like that the Vintage Photo adds a bit of old look on the pages. And just to remind you that this is distress paint and that means that it reacts with water while it's still wet, but once it dries, it will dry permanent. I'm also using my fingers to apply some ink here and there, and you'll see later on that I can just wipe off the paint from my fingers using a baby wipe. And once this is done, I'll just go ahead and dry everything with my heat gun again. This is a paper pad by Seven Gypsies. It's full of patterned papers that I really love the look of them. They are full of maps and I'm going to use this globe here. I'll go and cut out around the globe and then I'm going to cut it on my paper trimmer in half. I'm using the Fiskars paper trimmer, which has a wire in the middle and helps you see where exactly the blade is going to cut. I don't know if you can see it here. I'm just trying to show it to you with the white paper underneath. I'm going to stick the globe on my layout in the middle, and that's why I need a score in the scoring line. I'm using my Martha Stewart scoring board here. Helps the paper stick better. And now by using my gel medium again, with a dry brush, I'm going to apply gel medium all over the two pages. If you've seen me work before in my videos, you know already that I love adding shadows using my markers. To do that, I need to have a non-porous surface, and that's why I go all over the pages with the gel medium. And as always, once everything is covered with the gel medium, I'm going to use my heat gun and dry everything out. While I'm doing that, just to remind you that you can find all the supplies used in my videos just below in the details area if you're watching on YouTube. You just have to click expand. And now it's time for shadowing. These are Indian markers by Faber-Castell and they dry permanent. However, just because I'm working on non-porous surface, I have a few seconds to move the ink around and create my shadows. Now I'm going all over the edges again and I'm just adding a bit of interest there with my marker. I love the brown marker to do all the shading, and I think that's the marker that I'm using the most. Once this is done, you'll see that I'm using a normal printer paper, and you'll see that I cannot move the ink around. And I'm doing this just to show you why it's so important to have a non-porous surface at the background. This is an exclusive die by Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to use scraps of papers, and I'm going to cut out lots of these banners. Later on I'm going to stick them on my page, and I'm just going to create a colorful banner there. Here are the scraps that I've chosen. I'm actually going to follow the rainbow colors. And once everything is dry, I'm going to use my Faber-Castell markers and add the shadows. I'm using a marker that's slightly darker than the color of the flag, and finally I'll go over with my brown marker just to add the shadow in the background. From what we can see, today I decided to keep my background pretty simple, so I'm not going to add anything more on the background like stenciling and gesso or embossing paste and things like that. I'm just leaving it as is, just the paint on top of the tissue paper. Shading isn't difficult, you just go all around the edges and smudge the ink with your finger. As you can see, I don't pay too much attention, and I'm not pretty neat when I'm doing my shading. I just go ahead and it looks always nice at the end. And now the idea is to create a little girl that holds a flag with wishes for the new year. So I've used my half-inch circle punch and cut out a head, but it looked, even the half-inch looked too big for me, so I cut around it. And now I'm making a dress for her. I just use scrap papers of different colors. That's the orange actually that I've used for the flag. And I'm using another scrap paper that the color looks like flesh, more or less, and I'm going to cut hands and legs. Once I have all the parts of the little girl ready, I'm going to use gel medium again and stick her on my page. And you can see me here fighting with those small little pieces for ages, but I finally succeeded on sticking everything down. And I'm sure you know the process by now. Once I stick something on my page, I then go all over it with my brown Faber-Castell marker and add the shading. Now I'm using a fine tip marker that's also by Faber-Castell, and they write perfectly on top of the gel medium, and I just added here some hair there. Now I'm cutting out from scraps again a strip of paper that's going to be the stick that holds her flag. And again I'm going to stick it down with gel medium and then do my shading as usual. This is the scrap from where I cut out the globe. I'm using that to create the curve of the globe because I want my flag to go around the earth and I need to follow that curve. And so I'm drawing some lines there, and now I'm going to use these ribbons, and I'll just take my time and write down a few wishes for the new year. You don't need to use these. I just love the neat look of printed letters, but you can always go ahead and write them down using your handwriting. And here is what I've created. Now I'm going to use my scissors and cut around the wishes, and I'm actually going to create a flag out of this, which I'm going to stick again on top of my page. And if you want to be inside my thoughts, as I'm doing this, I was thinking that I left a big gap between the flag and the earth. So actually the stick for the flag was too big. Too much empty space there. And that's why you'll see me that later I'll come back here and add a second flag just below the one that I've added now, and that will eliminate the gap between the flag and the earth. After my shading is ready, I'll go ahead and use my fine tip black marker and go around the flag and the banners, and also add some details on the little girl. It always helps going around with a fine tip marker because it adds details and helps the images pop out. These are number ribbons by Tim Holtz, and I'm using the big numbers to write down 2014. These ribbons are of great quality. I've used other ribbons from other brands that when you press on one place, everything around this place sticks also. And that's why I totally recommend these ribbons by Tim Holtz. And that's the flag I was talking about before, just to eliminate the gap between the earth and the flag. I'll just go ahead and write a wish down there. I've also punched out a little heart out of red scrap paper. And I'm going to shade the flag and that little heart later on. These are my favorite stamp letters. It's by Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous, and I'm just placing them down. I want to see whereabout I'm going to stamp them. I'll go ahead and use archival ink, that's permanent black ink. Now everything is ready, and I have even added shading on the flag and that little heart up there. And now I'm using my fine tip marker to add some details like shoes and some details on the dress of the little girl. I'm also using my white gel pen, that's by Uniball, and I'm just adding some highlights on the letters. You could call this layout finished, but I was feeling that it needed something more. I'll go ahead and use that ribbon again. I'm going to add some details, and mainly I'm paying attention on the edges and on the corners. This will help frame my layout. A new year is a new number, and I think that this ribbon sheet is very appropriate with all the numbers going on here. It also has that clock that complements the layout, and I'm very happy with my decision to add the ribbons all around. I think they really made a difference on my layout. As you can see, I've used most of the ribbons on that sheet, and I mainly focused on the edges and the corners. I have also used gel medium all over the ribbons just to make sure that they are not going anywhere. And this is a picket fence by Tim Holtz. It's a distress paint, and I'm using a thin brush. I'm adding just a bit of white paint there and tons of water. I'm going to add some white splashes on my layout. Just to remind you that everything I've used on this layout is listed just below the video. And I always do my best to answer any questions in the comments area. Make sure to check out the still photos of this project at the end of the video, and also subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media. I always post sneak peeks of my future projects on my social media, so make sure you follow me. You'll see my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and Pinterest account at the end of this video. And that pretty much finishes the layout for today. I hope you had fun and got inspired.